I want to talk to you about some of the conspiracy theories that have gone around over the years. And some of them relate to you guys. Some of them relate to just America and the world in general, right? So it's kind of like a rapid fire round. So
the Earth is not flat. Okay,
we don't have to get too in depth with them, but I kind of just want to get your take on them. So the Hunter Biden Pizzagate style conspiracy, right? So I'll explain a little bit here. The Pizzagate conspiracy started in 2016 and falsely claimed that top Democratic politicians were running a child trafficking ring out of a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. The story spread so widely that a man actually showed up at the restaurant with a rifle to investigate. Some online groups have pushed wild Pizzagate-style conspiracy theories about you, linking you to secret networks, human trafficking, or other baseless crimes. These are completely unfounded, but they've still gained traction in fringe spaces.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about these things is that they are, they're like viruses. They spread so fast, and they are so powerful, and and again, to the person that adopts it, in adopting it, he creates a connection with a viral network of people that are like-minded, and they feed off each other, and they become the virus strengthens through its own connections, and that's what it is. And it doesn't matter that, for instance, Comet Pizza, which I'd been to. And anybody in D.C. that lived in Northwest D.C. had been to 1,000 times for birthday parties and things like that, doesn't have a basement, but that's where that's where everybody was supposedly kept. And like all of these, is that some have a kernel of truth, some are just made up out of whole cloth, and it's trying to answer them. It's like this feedback loop. So what happens is somebody will make a outrageous accusation, and it will be in some quote unquote we used to call fringe. It isn't so fringe anymore. Candace Owens, for instance, who probably has more listeners on a daily basis than any single one of the hosts on CNN does, by a factor of 5. And she'll make some outlandish, Bridget McCrone's a man. Okay. Doesn't have to be based in any fact, and doesn't have to, and by the way, defamation is an incredibly difficult thing to prove, not to prove, but to hold somebody legally liable for if you're a public figure. Like, and I'm a public figure, not by any choice of my own.
I know all about the law, and I know it's very, very difficult.
Very, very difficult. And so, and very, very expensive. Very expensive. And so what ends up happening is that it just metastasizes. And there's this feedback loop where somebody will, like Candace Owens, will make a claim, or Tucker Carlson, perfect example. Tucker Carlson will talk about, Hunter Biden, bribery, Ukraine, this, that, and the other thing, and he'll make a claim that I was funding a biolab in Ukraine. And this is a real one, that Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson.
I've heard about this one as well.
Yeah, and this biolab was in Ukraine, and it was infecting migratory birds with a virus that would fly over Russia to infect the people of Russia. And they connected me and George Soros to it, and then that goes to Fox News and Tucker Carlson and News. I mean, these shows, and then the New York Post writes about it, and then the New York Times, because they see that the New York Post and Fox News are getting so many clicks off of
they also report on it.
They report on the reporting,
and I've seen that so much in terms of the way that happens. I mean, Elon Musk, right, during our podcast said that Michelle Obama is a man. And that she has a penis. And that was one of the biggest stories from that whole episode. And you see one publication reports on it, and then 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, almost an identical article
Yes.
comes out on every other major platform.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I say that the New York Times is as bad as the New York Post. New York Times is as bad as Fox News. And because they cloak themselves in objectivity and as being the great lady, the great newspaper, and they're chasing clicks just as much as anybody else. I mean, it is a dying industry, and it could become completely irrelevant to some degree. But it's still, and CNN, Jake Tapper, they provide legitimacy for the bullshit. And so that's what happens, is you have this continuous feedback loop of these outright outrageous lies about, whether it's bribery, about my art. Okay, what could I choose that could be more distant from politics than to pursue art as a career? It's paintings. They said that I was selling paintings for $500,000. I've never sold a painting for $500,000, never priced a painting for $500,000. I would gladly do so if anybody wants to buy a painting for $500,000 from me, but I don't sell paintings for $500,000, never did. You know what happened? Is the New York Post wrote a story, and they had an art dealer in Midtown Manhattan, who they do not give the name of, say, what would Hunter Biden's pieces go for? And the guy said, well, I think they could go for anywhere between $100,000 and $500,000. Okay? So at the time, I thought, wow, that's really cool. A legitimate art dealer. And the New York Post is saying that but I didn't realize that I was falling into a trap.
Yeah.
And my art dealer didn't realize that he was falling into a trap. Because when my art dealer then was asked by some other reporter, what do you think Hunter valued? He said, well, so-and-so in the New York Post said that his paintings could go to 100. Now it's my art dealer saying I'm selling my paintings for $500,000. Even if that was the case, though, even if that was the case, do you think that I could change any decision that my father was going to be making because somebody decided they were going to come? Don Jr. is selling membership for $500,000. Literally.
At least with you, they get a painting.
The irony of it, but yeah, at least, but membership to go in and sit with cabinet members. That's the whole. That is literally what they're selling. They're literally selling access. They're literally selling access, and they don't see the irony in that. I know they see the irony in that, but they don't care. It's all bullshit.
And in terms,
by the way, people, you're being brainwashed.
Yeah,
you're just being brainwashed. I don't understand. And look, I forget about defending myself. You can like my art or not my art. I work really hard. I paint every day, and I painted my whole life. I mean, art is literally one of the things that saved my life, and I don't give a shit if people like it or buy it or otherwise. But it is literally one of the most important things, not just in my recovery, but it is as it relates to my purpose. Okay? And they bastardized that. There was a congressional investigation. My art dealer had to pay $500,000 to lawyers. The people that bought my art were hauled before Congress. Some of them that I didn't even know. The White House came up with some cockamamie thing that I would never, know my blah, blah, blah. The people that bought my art. It literally took, it took me a while to be able to just, block that out and just say, well, if you ever needed a lesson of why you just paint to paint. And another thing, they did that to me. I still paint every day. I don't give a shit.
Because you enjoy it.
Not beyond enjoy it. It is it's where I found purpose. It's where I found profound grace in expressing myself through painting, and the courage that it takes, and anyone that's ever created anything to share it with somebody else, another individual, is what makes it art. And you know what? And it's a daily exercise of me doing that. And it's really, really important to me. And it's really, really meaningful to me. And that's what they do, though. They attack the things that are pure. And with them, it's literally always projection or confession.
And in terms of your father, there has a conspiracy that he is a clone and Joe Biden was replaced and that he's not actually him.
No, that is true.
But I mean, where do you think stuff like that? And for example,
by the way, I wish we could clone him. I'm making an army out of him, and then we'll have a real civil war.
But in terms of stuff like that, and the Michelle Obama is a man, right? Why do you think people are so quick? And obviously, it's a bigger group than you would think that believe these things. Why do you think people want to believe these things, and why does it matter?
Because they're fucking stupid. I mean, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who I've mentioned before on another when I was talking to Andrew. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a thinker during the mid 20th century and a incredibly courageous human being. And he was a philosopher and that wrote a lot about kind of like living a Christ-centered life. And he was not an evangelist, but really, really smart guy. And he was part of, I don't know whether officially part of the Iron Front movement inside of Germany, but he was out of Germany when the Third Reich took power. But he went back to oppose them, and they jailed him, and the SS murdered him in jail. And one of the things that he wrote about was this: is that ignorance is the most difficult thing to beat. You know, Hannah Arendt talked about how the banality of evil in the Eichmann trials, and her point is that at the end of the day, evil is just boring. Like evil people are just boring. They're doing and she didn't mean it to in any way diminish what evil the evil that they commit. But you realize it's just like it's bureaucratic. Is that ignorance, however, is what Bonhoeffer said is almost impossible to defeat. Is how do you convince ignorant people of the subtleties of what they're experiencing or convince them otherwise? And I will tell you this, is that what is making us ignorant? It's our algorithms. What is making us ignorant? And this is what I want people to rise the fuck up, man. Wake up. Is you are being duped. You are being duped by your overlords. And I don't mean to use like Matrix-like language or things, but you are being duped. And it's not some conspiracy, and I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about the people that make money off of you. I'm talking about the CNN. I'm talking about the New York Times, not just Murdoch, not just Fox News. I'm talking about the algorithms that literally pull you around by your nose. And I'm not saying that I get sometimes pulled around by the algorithm.
Me too.
You know what I mean? And I find myself going down rabbit holes. I don't remember this one. Is that I literally told, I think, at least 10 people before I found out it was complete false, is that there was a major structure that was found underneath the pyramids.
I saw those memes. I think Joe
Rogan
Rogan
was the most amazing thing in the world.
I think Joe Rogan saw it as well. It was like these massive columns.
Yeah. And by the way, I understand. And by the way, but what, like, isn't that instructive? Isn't that instructive? It's like, wake up, people.
Yeah.
Wake up, because it's killing you. It's killing your health. It is killing us. It is turning us into addicts. I mean, literally the addictive, I mean, you find the connection between, I mean, just the physiological connection of what it does to you, the way in which it controls your dopamine and serotonin uptake. It's absolutely astounding. And just look who's making money off of it. That's all you got to do. And decide, you know what? I'm not going to allow them to control my life anymore. And by the way, you will wake up from this bullshit if you do. I've woken up from a lot of the bullshit that is being pressed by the Democratic Party and the corporatists in that party, and the people that were willing to throw my dad overboard the moment that he had a bad debate. Do you know what I mean? And I realize it's all money, man. And it is absolutely, we have to have in the United States of America, whatever comes next is going to be revolutionary. And it may, and I'm not convinced that it's going to be good. I mean, I'm not convinced of who's going to win this fight. But we're either going to be the subjects of a bunch of feudal lords, literally a very small handful of people. I mean, over the course of the last 8 months, is that, the only people that have made any money are billionaires whose wealth has increased by over 40%. It's like 80% of the stock market is controlled by like 4 or 5 private equity firms and hedge funds. I mean, and we can't figure out, like, how is it possible that Tesla is now a $1 trillion company after what you look at the numbers, you look at Elon Musk, look at market share, you look at him not getting the EV rebate anymore, you look at him, you like, and people say, well, you don't understand it because this, that, and the other thing. I can tell you what, it's because it's propped up and controlled by a very, very handful of people. That's not a conspiracy. That's fact. Pizzagate's a conspiracy. You're not being controlled by some, other. It's like the way that people, I think, like they always want to be able to believe that there's some distant authority, whether it's God or whether it's aliens or whether it is the Illuminati that are somehow secretly controlling everything because it makes them feel in some way that they know something that other people don't know. It gives them power in their life. I'm telling you, it's none of them. It's none of them. It's the people that you see on TV every day. It's the 5 or 6 people that lined up behind Donald Trump because he summoned them to stage when he was inaugurated or called them into the White House and made them give them gifts of golden orbs. And, like, wake up. Wake the fuck up.